In the name of Jesus, amen.
Play Podcast. Play Podcast.
It's late and hell is hot. Though it's cold in this room, I am grateful and thankful to be here with you. I don't like when people say it's cold as hell or cold as shit, because I would think that something that's been up in your intestines would be warm even when it hits the toilet. New Rory and Maul, they have a new podcast without Joe Budden. Lakers have been eliminated from the playoffs. Drake, Billboard Artist of the Decade. Nicki Minaj is back on the scene. God is still good. Blessed Once. This is Blair, your cancer care bear. And I am back with episode 25. And it's been a long time coming. Yeah, I've been away for 2 months. Too long. A lot's been going on, but I'm still happy, healthy, positive, productive. So, just a quick recap on what I've been up to these last couple months. I am still in my relationship. Of course, we have our ups and downs, fights, but the love is still real. The love is still there. My son lost 2 of his teeth. My niece lost hers. My niece had a birthday, Mother's Day. Father's Day weekend's coming up. Juneteenth is coming up. Now, on to the good stuff. I have been away from my home, the 757, and have been working, training in Richmond, Virginia, pursuing my trade of HVAC. Met some good people, good gentlemen. Had some good experience, got a good teacher. Had some wins, had some losses, but I am still here, which is another reason why I say sometimes our feelings will hinder us from what is. I made it further than I thought I would make it. But I haven't given up yet. There have been a few people who have. There have been a few people who been let go. But as long as you keep going, keep striving, eventually you will make it. If you can dream it, you can believe it, then you can accomplish it, and I believe that. So, here's a question from a gentleman in my class. Good guy. He have grown to be a very positive impact friend, brother in or the workplace. Eric Tyler Jordan says, how do you overcome fears that feel impossible to reach? Or more so, it's just more so of, what is my take on overcoming fears that feel impossible to reach goals? My response to that, Eric Tyler Jordan, is you just have to keep going. You know, sometimes our fear is our faith. Like, the challenge is, you know, in the journey, but overcoming it is what makes everything worth it. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's scary. But me, being the type of guy that I am, I don't shy away from it. Sometimes it might discourage me, but I do not shy away from it. If I feel like something is too much, I'll take a swing at it anyway. And if I miss, then I miss. But if it's something that you really want, you gotta keep going. Gotta keep working, keep learning. And surround yourself with people who will encourage you. Because I'll say this, there has been a lot of unwanted energy in our class, but it is no longer there. But it's somewhere, because you cannot kill or create energy. It's something like air and AC and heat. It cannot be made nor destroyed. It just moves to a different location. So even if you overcome your fear and reach your goal, that fear doesn't go away. It is just moved to a different vessel, different source. Maybe it's a little deep, but all I just say is just you gotta just keep going. There's a lot of obstacles I had personally overcame that I thought that I would never overcome. But with prayer and patience and support and courage, it was just a matter of time before I got there. And then there's the alternative where if you have these desires that is detrimental to you, is not benefiting you, then it's just as simple. Then it might not be for you. What's for you is for you. It's not gonna always necessarily be easy, but it's gonna fit. It's gonna be there. I was talking to one of my friends, and I know she was asking me like, if something is really meant for you, wouldn't it be easy? And I think about it often, and I'll be like, sometimes I think it is, sometimes I think it ain't. It's kind of like relationships. There's some people you just click with. Some people you gotta adjust to, get to know, grow, and love with. There are people who believe in soulmates. I believe in soulmates, but I don't believe in there being one particular soulmate, because soulmates can equate to different things. Work, fun, companionship, things like that. There's like-mindedness and everything. I am recording this episode at 11 midnight on a Tuesday. I was just recently, I had to re-record it because I really didn't like the way that how everything was coming out, because for this to be my return, it needs to be a little more clear, a little bit more natural and organic. You know what I'm saying? Like, I often wing it a lot of times. But, like I said, these last couple months, I've been able to work on, getting back to my more natural self. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying to be a better father, better companion, better son, better friend. Just this has been a lot. It's been a lot of growth. And just being in this, training, being at this new journey in my life. I had gained different values. And like, I was talking to my manager, and he talked about how ever since he's been working for the company that we're working for, He learned, like, he had gained on how to just be a better person in general. You know what I'm saying? And that was the type of those are the type of careers you want to be in. Me just going from job to job. Being a college dropout and not really having nothing to show for all my accolades and hard work. Feel like this time is paying off. And even though it's a struggle for me, like I said, I have the support of my classmates, my family, my companion, children, all that stuff is, it's good positive energy. And I'm always appreciate that. Which leads me to another point that I want to get to. Again, I'm back, and I have a lot to say, but I'm not going to say it all tonight because there's going to be another rebrand, another direction that this podcast is going to go. I don't want to disclose any details right now because, again, I'm still a newbie. I've been doing this for about 3 years, but I'm still a newbie. This podcast is on the 25th episode, but I'm still learning. And it's okay to rebrand. It's okay to redirect. As many times you want until, you find the right fit. Because trust and believe me, even if you have one listener, it's something that somebody needs to hear. I want to address, relationships again. I can talk about relationships all day, every day. Like when it comes to relationships, music, God, I can talk about that all day. Because these are things that are really important to me. But I want to talk about relationships as far as like your duty and responsibility. Your duty and responsibility is to take care of yourself so you can take care of others. When you are in a relationship where you are building, where you are learning, and where you're trying to grow, it is your duty to ask questions. It's not your duty to know everything. It's your duty to listen and ask questions and pay attention and figure out how well this relationship means to you. How well this is good. How well this relationship is going to be. I'm not going to go into full details, but that's something that me and my lady have been, going over often. We have to give each other time. We have to give each other love. We have to give each other, patience. We have to give each other, that compassion. Like I grew up in the church, and I know just being someone who was raised in a Christian home and also being a military brat, you don't really have big shoes to fill, but you're gonna have some expectations. You're gonna be expected to have manners, to respect everyone, to love everyone. You know, walk away if you can. You know, you're expected. You know, there's a lot of responsibility in that. So when you become an adult, you start to rebel even more. And that's something that I used to do. Like when my parents separated, I started rebelling a little bit. We didn't go to church as much. You know, I wasn't always listening as much because my daddy was he was out away. Like, hey, you can't spank me. Like, hey, I'm not gonna. I can't. I don't care what you say. You're on the phone. You can't do nothing to me from here. And, my mom couldn't catch me or whatever. But it's certain things. So when you grow up like that, you have almost a pride in you, a chip on your shoulder. Like, hey, okay, I'm my own man. It's time for me to make my decision on what I want to do, what I want to be. And there was a lot of different things that I wanted to be, and a lot of different things I wanted to do with my life. And even with me still going to church, like later on, like there was a time where I didn't go for a long time, and then I went, and then I stayed, and then I just kept going. And hey, when they ask you to stand up, if there's any visitors, I never stand up because I don't feel like I'm a visitor. I do feel like any church I go into is the house of God. I don't think every church is meant for you, any and everybody, but there's the church out there for everyone. I ain't gonna sit here and say that church church isn't gonna get you in heaven. Church isn't gonna deter your relationship with God. Like, I feel like the relationship with God is the most important. But church is somewhere that you can go to learn more about God and congregate with other believers and followers. And with that, it's just like there's a responsibility in church. Like, when you become, like, if you go to start going to church consistently and you go to the same church regularly, it's kind of like you almost become like a honorary member. And then when you become an honorary member, you're going to then start being asked to do certain things or being expected to do them or be required to do it. And that was something that I was never really for. Like, I don't really like putting certain responsibilities on others or on myself because of this. So that's why I never really kind of made that commitment to a church. Like, there was a church that I was going to, a couple years ago, and it was a great church. I taught like the pastor was like, that was my pastor. He married me and my ex-wife. We was able to talk about certain things. I didn't form brotherhoods with the gentleman there, and like I said, there was. I have personal relationships with people who brought me into that church in the first place, but it's certain things for me that I feel, that I believe. There go that word again, feel. I never really officially joined. No, I did things there because I'm just a good person. I want to help. But I never really officially joined. But again, I was still considered a member. And it's just like now, my companion, my queen, my wife to be, my love, like she's actually the reason why I'm back in church now. I haven't been in like 2-3 years, and we was having a conversation, and we was talking. She was mentioning church, and she wants to go to church. She wants us to go to church together. And I mean, hey, I'm for it, and I'm like, I don't have nothing against church. It's a good church that she goes to. It's not my church. My church will forever be Vederdare Faith Baptist, which is my family church. Like I always say, I guess it's just my family that goes there, even though it's a public church. But you know, and that's what I mean. When you're in relationships, there are certain things that you should do. I mean, you should be able to do things without pressure. You should be able to do things without compromise. You should just do things because you care. Like I said, this isn't something that's gonna like determine, or change you. Like if as long as this person isn't asking you, or you're not expected to do something that's gonna really be harming to your character, uh, dangerous to yourself, and just something that is very, very negative. There should always be a door to be like, okay, I want to do this because I will do this because this makes you happy, and vice versa. So that's all. What I'm saying, like I believe in building relationships from the ground up. Whenever you start something else, like regardless of you know what we think, what we feel, what we may know, we are not always right. Knowledge isn't power, wisdom is power. Because you can know everything, you can know anything. You can have knowledge of something, and that can still be something that somebody else don't know, and you're holding that information. Like, share the knowledge that are useful, and that's just something that I'm learning, is learning to apply what needs to be applied to. We can't compare what's going on over there in Palestine and Israel to what's going on here. We can't compare what your child is doing at one parent's house and then compare it to what's going on this house, because it's different things. Everything applies to other things. Just like before, when I talked about when I said the question, I'll say it again. Overcoming fears that feel impossible to reach. So what you're really overcoming, you're overcoming yourself. You're overcoming your doubt, really. Because if you feel like something is impossible, and you're still doing it, you're still pursuing it, then there's something inside of you telling you like, hey, it can be done, I'ma still try it. So in some sense, it is still possible. Like, there are things that may be impossible for us to accomplish and do because we just don't have that drive to pursue it. But if it's something that we're pursuing, that we really want to do, then we're going to overcome it at some point. So whether it's working, whether it's companionship, or whether it's just self, we gotta hold ourselves accountable we have to do better at really concentrating, focusing on the things that we desire in life. Because we're allowed to have desires, but we're also allowed to have emotions and be afraid of things and to say certain things. The biggest struggle for me is being quiet. That's the biggest struggle for me. I listen more than I talk, but I still talk a lot, but it's just a struggle for me to listen. I mean, not, but to be quiet. You know, my fear that I need to overcome is the fear of being misunderstood or doing something wrong. But the only way that I can overcome it is to continue to do it, continue to ask questions, continue to, align with those who may speak better than I do or speak well, who wants to help. Like I said, teamwork makes the dream work. Next week, music. I want to discuss music next week. Well, the next episode, I want to talk about what's been going on in music, what's been going on, just, I want to discuss that next episode. But blessed ones, all in all. Before I close, I just want to say thank you all for subscribing, listening, sharing, following. Just appreciate it. I'm still on all streaming platforms. So if you're listening on Spotify, go to Apple Music, you will hear me. Go to iHeart, you will hear me. Go to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, you will hear me. I keep saying Apple Music, but it's Apple Podcasts, and vice versa. If you're anywhere, I'm on the platforms where podcasts are heard. And before I go, turn in for the night, I got class early in the morning. I do want to send my love, prayers, and blessings to all the families, to all the friends who have recently lost someone. I want to wish all the fathers a happy Father's Day. All my fellow black folks, happy Juneteenth. Remember, Virginia is now a paid holiday for Juneteenth. Shout out to All Verb No Convo brand. Shout out to Financial Felon brand, Flamingo Sock brand, Greenwood District brand. Shout out to all of those brands. I will provide a link or tag on my SoundCloud. Blair, I am back. And as always, blessed ones, stay safe, Stay prosperous, productive, and positive. See you next time. One. Hear you next time. One. Get in that vibe.